what really helped me during that time is that I was going to the movie theater, I think twice a week at least. And I was going at the library and renting, picking some movies as well. But I liked, but I always watch in French. And
The ones that you were asking me if I already watched, and I keep saying
yes,
no.
exactly. So during that time, I kept a list of movies that I watched, and I think I watched over 150 movies.
Well, I am
During
glad
that
you
year?
watched those movies because now I am watching them.
And that's why my culture, and 97 movies I know because I think I watched them all in the movie theater, because that was also something different for me. Like, people don't understand the difference between back then and now. Even if back then, like, the United States were a country that was far away. We don't online. Everything with internet now is, or what we see on TV, it's making it closer. We have direct information.
Yeah.
Before, it was only through magazines, newspaper. Like, internet was not established as it
Yeah.
is right now.
No.
And it was a totally different culture, a different way of living. Now I think it's getting about the same, but it was very, very, very different. It's hard to understand or to compute this for young people.
Well, probably now our 20 subscribers and the people
Yes.
that will listen to us, they probably understand this.
Yeah, but
this-
going to
this
the
is
movie
shocking.
theater was a totally different
Yeah,
experience
no,
in
and
the
it
US
was-
than it was in France.
But in Mexico too, it was like, oh, we're going to the movie theater.
Mm.
And when it was a really good movie, like the lines, it was like, what is going on? I remember when Titanic.
That was right at my year.
I mean, I
know you
never
don't like
liked.
it,
I
Emma.
never liked Titanic and
Titanic.
and I was like, no, I'm not going because the lines were like hundreds of people waiting.
Yeah.
And I remember in Mexico, this new company, Cinépolis, and yeah, Cinépolis. They just start with this IMAX and all these new big how do you say screens and the food in your they take your food into you. But it was a big deal.
Yes, it was new.
Yeah, it was really new, and it was really expensive. Well, now it's expensive, but back in the days, it was super expensive to go to the movie theater.
It always gets expensive.
And it was like, oh, this movie is going to be released, and you needed to wait. It was something that you wait for months. And I remember funny thing, I always wanted to watch Forrest Gump.
There was a build-up.
And I was waiting for Forrest Gump to be released for months. And I don't know why. It's not something that
it was a great movie.
Yeah, I know it was. I love that movie.
I love that
movie. But for me, I was waiting for that movie to be released. Like, I was waiting and waiting. It's like probably for now it's people that waits for the Avengers or this type of movies, Batman or whatever.
But they were making premieres on TV, in the news. I don't know if you remember, but like back in the day, they were making like, oh, we have a special interview with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And it was like a big deal in our country because we were not, we didn't have the David Letterman show or whatever.
In Mexico, it was in Channel 5 that they were having, or Telehit, it was a cable channel where all these new hosts and TV hosts, young ones, because they have fresh ideas. So they were doing something new, and they were interviewing. They were interviewing this type of big Hollywood artists to promote their movies. So of course it was a big deal. And now, because for my daughter, it's very easy. Like, oh, now they are releasing in HBO or in Apple.
Everything is accessible like that. There's no build up.
Yeah, everything. It's like Prime.
Yeah,
everything. It's Prime.
Everything is Prime. You have it right now.
Yeah.
But for us, I was getting not anxious, but I was getting excited. Like something would be released in a month or 2 months or 3 months. And you were waiting for it, and it was like you were cherishing that moment.
Even I remember with my dad, we were going to buy CDs because my dad was avid CD buyer.
Yeah.
And we went to a place called Beethoven. Beethoven, yes. And it was a very nice CD or music store, like with with nice and very high quality
Yes.
headphones, and they have a studio for you to, when you were a customer,
Yeah.
they will take you there. And my dad, I mean, he bought a lot of CDs, a lot. By that time, he had a very good sound system, Technics.
Yeah. Yes.
It was a very good one. So we were going there, and when my dad, I remember, he had the CD and the smell of it. He was enjoying that.
Yes.
And we were watching a movie that what's the High Fidelity.
High Fidelity.
High
Yes.
Fidelity.
I introduced you to High Fidelity.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but it brought me back memories of how I was recording my favorite music, because it's not like now. Like you just go to Apple Music or whatever the platform you have to download your music. And you have it. But back in the days, either you were asking your friend that you knew that he or she had money and they already buy the CD or the whatever. So you were like, please, can
I make a
borrow?
tape? Oh, yeah.
Or you were listening to your radio station
and try to record it.
So you were like, shut up, don't talk to like.
And you never had like the full version, only the radio edit version.
Only the radio edit version. Or I remember my dad when he had like a lot of CDs, but also their tapes. So he would do a lot of tapes of music, because that was the only way to listen to the music in your car. And he was taking hours, even days, and he has this notebook like in the movie. Like, okay, I'm gonna record of country music, because my dad loves country music. So it was like John Denver, all these artists. I only remember John Denver, the Creedence or whatever. And he was doing his list, and then classical music, Beethoven, Mozart. Blah, blah.
Yeah, how to classify them,
and he was like, and he
what
he was,
order?
and each of his CDs had a number,
at the label
and a number.
So
he knew when someone who took my 45 CD number 45, and even his tape. So going back to what we were saying, that it's very hard to our kids now to understand that how difficult at that time was to have something new, to have something like just released, and how powerful it was for, I mean, at least for me, like I went to the premiere of this movie, or I had this magazine, or I just I don't know, I just bought the CD of this artist, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
It was a huge deal, and it was bringing excitement, because you were expecting it and you heard about it. And I remember I was a big fan of magazines. I mean, a big fan. I love magazines. I love reading magazines, like not books that much, but magazines. I loved it. And then I was reading about something that was about to come out. And I remember even when I was an au pair, I was going to a mall in a special library where they had like movie magazines from France. And I would read them as well to know which French movies were coming out, to know what I would watch when I come back. And my passion for movies like started really when I started living on my own at 16. Before that, not so much. I mean, I love movies, but not so much. And then I get really like passionate about it. And when I came to the US, and first of all, the first big thing was that they had internet at home.
Oh, really? By 97?
In 97, they had internet at home.
Oh, wow.
Kids were using it. And so when the kids were at school, I was using it, and I started going to movie buffs or whatever, forums, people talking about movies, and with recommendation, what were their favorite movies. You know, like forums, like, oh, your top 10 movies, and like High Fidelity, your top 5 music.
Which is your top 3?
So wait, because it's, I mean, we're getting to the end right now, but I just want to introduce that I got into forums. So I was already interested in movies. I was going to video clubs a lot in France, and then I did the same, but going to the library and Blockbuster and to the movie theater. That was like my main activity. I didn't do any sports or whatever. It was only watching movies, and I went to forums, and then I was talking daily to people that had a different knowledge and culture about movies, and I started looking at their recommendation, taking it in the library, taking it Blockbuster, and that's how I built up my knowledge about movies. And and as you said, everything was not easy to access to. In France, it was really hard to access to a lot of things. It got easier when I moved to the US. But what really, really changed my my approach to everything is to talk online to people that were as passionate as I was. Because before internet, guys, you could be part of a club in your town. Imagine if you're like part of a small village or whatever. You only have like one person that is passionate about the same thing, or two. If you're part of a big city, you can find something. But once you had internet, like you had forums talking about a lot of different, very interesting people with very interesting topics that you could find. And I was spending hours on it because I was like, it was like the world was opening to me.
Yeah. I wish I would have, I could have that in the past.
Yeah.
In Mexico, but I did not. But I think that the things that I was able to get, I really enjoy them. Like going with my parents to buy CDs, well, for my dad, or even, getting my MTV cards, because in Mexico, when MTV started, it was a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I was watching Beavis and Butthead.
You had collector cards?
Yeah, for Beavis and Butthead.
Really?
And the smell, once you get that smell, I cannot describe. I mean, probably it's stupid. I was just liking Beavis and Butthead because it was a huge thing in the 90s. And the smell of the cards, the plastic smell, when you get new ones, you're like, oh.
We had that for soccer, the Panini cards.
Well, I don't know about that. But
you have a book, and then you buy cards by 5, and you should complete the book.
Yeah. I was having that, but...
And I had that for Michael Jackson as well.
Yeah, I bet you had.